Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with California Dairy Magazine, reporting to you from Turlock, headquarters of Western United Dairies. I'm here with one of the representatives. This is Paul Sousa. I wanted to talk with you about the Quota Implementation Plan. That's kind of a mouthful, but it's also been a very contentious subject for a lot of our dairy producers. Some have quota, some don't. There's been some changes recently. We've obviously had over the last several years, there's been a movement to get rid of quota altogether, which is it's rough for those that have quota. But this isn't what these changes are about. It's not about getting rid of it or not. This is more about adjusting the return on their investment. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little more details about that. This was a decision that was made between the Producer Review Board and approved by Secretary Karen Ross. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, so this was an idea brought up by Frank Conine, who is a member of the Producer Review Board. Initially, quota was tied to the revenue from the Class 1, the fluid milk market. And in 1994, legislation was passed that fixed the quota pay price. And since that time, there's been a big divergence from the revenues from Class 1 and the quota payments. And his idea was to tie those things together again. And so it would take the payment that quota holders currently get of $1.70 and bring that down to $1 per hundredweight for the quota that they own, which is roughly the value that the Class 1 market brings to the California pool, so that it would equal those out. It is a compromise position between those that have quota and those that don't. It would reduce the assessment for everybody, so what you pay into the program is less, and those that hold quota would receive smaller payments than they currently do.
And you mentioned that this is going to be up for referendum. And so dairy producers are going to be receiving, the opportunity to vote on whether to make this official or not, right? So what we're anticipating, ballots are going to be going out in the mail in the next month or so, right?
Correct. Sometime this fall, CDFA held some meetings in the end of July and in the beginning of August to inform dairy producers of what is in the petition, what they're going to be voting on. So dairy producers had the chance to go to a meeting, learn from CDFA what is specifically in the petition that is being out for vote. Ultimately, any major changes to the QIP have to be voted on by dairy producers and have to be approved by dairy producers. And so, they can expect that to happen. And it's going to be an important decision, but it's going to be made by dairy producers and, the majorities and by the voting thresholds as to what happens from here.
And as far as eligibility to vote on this issue, we're talking about, you said grade A, dairy producers here?
Dairy producers producing grade A milk in California will be able to vote. But it is important. CDFA had a presentation on this at one of their PRB meetings of who's eligible to vote. And you have to be registered prior to the referendum as the voting person on your dairy. And so, I've talked to dairy producers about this. Maybe their father was registered and he's retired and now the son's taken over and the son's going to be the one that votes on it. Well, he can't unless he changes who's the registered voter for that dairy. So it's important to reach out to CDFA. They held like I said, a meeting, a PRB meeting, and they had a presentation on this. They had an email and a phone number that they gave that you can get on CDFA's website to contact CDFA and make sure that the right person, contact them and say, hey, who's the voting person for my dairy? We're a partnership of 3 people and, dad's retired and, is it still dad? Is it my brother? Because you need to make sure that for your vote to be counted, that the person who is registered for your dairy is the one who signs the ballot when you make your vote.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarification. Make sure you're ready for this. This is coming this fall. Let your voices be heard. Whether you vote one way or another, that's up to you guys to determine what's best for the dairy industry and your operations individually. But we'll look forward to hearing more about this in California Dairy Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.